Okay, welcome this evening. Just a couple of quick announcements. Our next meeting is October 20th. And that will be a competition. The assigned subject is black and white, and of course the open. And then our judge is Richard Kent. Our architectural walk in New York City is scheduled for October 18th. And I'll be sending out some more information on that. If you haven't already signed up and you're interested in going, please let me know. The first of the NJFCC competitions is on October 28th, and that's a pictorial competition with the two categories of creative and general. And images for that are due into Photo Contest Pro by October 16th. And for anybody who doesn't know about the NJFCC competitions, there are competitions in the fall, 2 in the winter, and 2 in the spring. And there's a pictorial competition and there's a nature competition. And with the pictorial competition, there's creative, which is for images that the judges can see that you've manipulated the image to some extent. And then general for any images that don't fall into creative or into a nature category. And if you want some more information on that, just let me know. And finally, the subject nobody wants to hear about is dues are due. So get your dues into Bill or bring them to the next meeting. And tonight we have a program on architectural photography with Art Becker. And Art is a commercial photographer. He has some unique work up on his website. And he's a watercolor artist, and with some really fabulous watercolors that he's made of his images. And is that enough of an introduction, Art?
That's plenty. You don't need to say much more. That's fine. It's
Okay.
it's uncomfortable when somebody talks about you, at least for me anyways. So no worries. Okay, are we ready to start?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to, I'll be clicking on share my screen in just a couple seconds. First of all, my name is Art Becker. I've been a commercial photographer for 44 years. That's a long time in this business. I love every second of it. I started in 1981, and here I am in 2025. I'm still very active, although I'm past 70 now. Not much, but a little bit. And so I love my job. I get paid to make photographs, and I've gotten to travel across the world doing it. Architectural photography started out for me when I was in college. I didn't have much money, or any money really. And so when I started making photographs, one of the easiest things to photograph was architecture, because I didn't have to pay for locations or models or things like that. So I started photographing, and I went to school, college in Fort Lauderdale. And when I would go out with some of my friends and we go out and photograph together, architecture seemed to be a good lead-in for me. One of the things I learned about architecture, one of the things I really thoroughly enjoyed about it, was the ability to go out and make photographs that were different or unique. When I first started showing my portfolio, shortly after I graduated from college, one of the things that occurred is I was able to make a really good living. And I got hired very quickly out of college to start making photographs for architecture clients and builders across the South Florida area. I lived in South Florida then. I'm not from Florida originally. I'm from Northwest Pennsylvania. I do know your weather. I grew up in a place called Erie, Pennsylvania, on Lake Erie. It's extremely cold all the time. And there's a very short window of summertime, but it's beautiful in the summertime. So that's why I live in Florida. That's why I've lived here twice. This is my second stint living here, and I don't know that I'll move back north. Although I have family back north, they can always come and visit. And my son and my beautiful granddaughter and my daughter-in-law can we fly them down so they can be with us here because I don't want to go there. And they live in Buffalo, and we all know what that's about weather-wise. So, anyways, one of the things that I like to talk about is architectural photography is pure design and form follows function. And one of the things I learned is to photograph a building in such a way is to invite you, the viewer, or anybody else, especially clients or prospective clients for the architects or builders, is to want to go to that place, want to go to that building, that community, that city, that state, whether it's United States or overseas. It doesn't much matter. And the gear I use is Nikon gear, and I use Olympus. Nikon, I switched to Nikon late. I was started out with Olympus early on. I was with Olympus. I did endorsement work for Olympus for 33 years. That meant at that time, they don't do that now, but at that time, you get free gear, essentially, which is amazing. And John Kennard was marketing director when I started. He's retired out now. And I'm not with Olympus any longer. I do shoot Olympus gear. I still own a lot of it, as well as I shoot Nikon D800 and D850. I have shot mirrorless, and I keep swearing I do have mirrorless in the Olympus gear. I haven't bought the Nikon yet, but I will. I still like the 850. So that's just a personal observation about gear. I don't talk much about gear, but I will touch on it and what I use for interiors and things like that. If you have any questions in the chat feature here, please hit that, or you can let me know if there's a question so we can field the questions as they're coming up. Okay, so I'm going to start, and I'm going to hit basic, and I'm going to hit share. So that should work pretty well. And there's my imagery, and we're going to pull this up like this, I think. And we're going to go like this, and slideshow. We're going to go to full. Okay. Now, can you guys see this? Can I get some kind of feedback at all?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so in the screens, all you can see is a really large photograph. Is that correct? Are we good?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Good.
Okay. All right, that's fine. This is a spiral staircase. This is at the Milton Glaser Children's Museum in downtown Tampa. I was there with our grandson. My wife and I were there with our grandson. And it's a few years ago, and I saw the spiral staircase. Now, we were just kind of goofing around. I have a camera with me 24/7. It's always in the car. If I'm not in the car, it's always with me. So to make a photograph at a location like this seems like a simple thing to me. I had my grandson at the top of the spiral staircase. This is a custom-made spiral staircase, and finding the right angle to get what I thought was an interesting image. Now, if you look here where my cursor is, this is not blown out. It is blown out in this shot. It's not blown out in the original. And so you're going to see all original. So you're going to see things that I know clients necessarily don't see. So this should not be blown out here. But again, I like this image. What I like about it is it lets your eye move throughout the frame. A good photograph architecturally is going to allow you to see the way, the shape, and design of the element that you're trying to emphasize. In this case, it's the spiral staircase. Now, this was not a job that I was hired to do, but nevertheless, I was able to contact the architect, and they're from New York. And so they love this picture and got used in a magazine piece and some of their brochure stuff. So sometimes that happens. We're all cross market that way. Okay, so boom. Okay, this is an odd one. This is a job I was hired to do, and this is a funeral home. The man who, I don't know if you've ever worked with a funeral director before, but it's definitely interesting. He hired me to photograph just the interior of his space. He wanted people to feel comfortable when they were there. And if you've ever worked with somebody who owns a funeral home or is a funeral director, they have a very macabre sense of humor. Um, and he wanted people to want to, when they come into the space, to feel like that this plush velvet um, couch need to feel comfortable, almost like they could lay down in it. And the idea of laying down in a funeral home is a very uncomfortable conversation. I took two strobes, large strobes outside, and they were outside, and I shined them through the windows. So they're coming through, and they're hooked to a slave unit, which I can fire remotely from wherever I am on the inside. And it was lit. Now, I intentionally left the Kleenex here and let a little bit of light bleed in. So it's lit. And oftentimes when I'm doing interiors, I'll light them with the strobe. Strobes being not the kind that you put on your hot shoe and your camera, but a strobe with an umbrella. I use shoot-through umbrellas, and I use something called Alien Bees. They're made by Policy Buff, company out of Tennessee. And that's a gear I use for lighting 99% of the time. I use something called a Vagabond. Vagabond's about this big. I'll show one to you, a photograph of it. And it's about this big. And it lasts up to 15 hours on a single charge. And I have several of those, and I can plug my strobes in wherever I want. So I'm not holding to whatever kind of situation where sometimes you can't get a cord's too long. These things enable you to be on location all day and be able to deal with that. This is oddly enough called the Becker Building. No relation, unfortunately. This is at Florida Southern College. Florida Southern College is the largest grouping of Frank Lloyd Wright buildings in the world. And this is designed by Robert Stern, a New York architect, very well known, amazing guy. Was an amazing guy. And all the buildings were styled with little touches of Frank Lloyd Wright work in them. You'll see some work that I did for them, the Florida Southern College. And this is one of the buildings they designed. That roof pitch is exactly like that. That's not distorted. That shot with a 17-24 Nikon F2. Nikon D800 maybe? Available light. This was available light too. I had to talk them into allowing me to shoot this or make the photograph available light. And I let the light bleed in. I add a little bit of fill flash. Fill flash is adding a little light where the existence of light isn't there. I use strong lines and strong shadows. I don't normally do that, but I thought it was a great day. So sometimes you're lucky. So sometimes you can equal the amount of light indoors with the amount of light outdoors. If you have any questions as we're going along from a technical standpoint, please let me know. This is called painting with light. Now, if you don't know what painting with light is, you set the camera on a tripod back here. And what you do is, if you don't know the concept, so I don't know, what I'm dealing with here, so I don't know what you know and don't know. So painting with light is you put the camera on a tripod and you start exposure. And then you take a light during exposure and you paint with light. It's a big searchlight, about this big around, about this long, and you can take it and basically you take it and paint with light. So you're on the tripod. You open up the shutter for 1 second. That's your first exposure. Then you do one at 3 seconds, one at 5 seconds, one at 8, and one at 10 seconds. So you're hit the shutter, paint with light. It's a great little technique. You make sure all the lights are on in the building so that you're getting whatever available light. And the longer the exposure, and the more painting you do. Now, you can't do it slow, and you have to be consistent, or else it gets streaky. So it's a real fun technique if you guys want to try it. This is the city of Orlando. This is from a 172 Cessna, four-seater airplane, a little tiny thing. And this is for the city of Orlando. And I was hired, I've done a fair amount of aerial photography over the years. And this is not a drone. It can't go up that high in a drone. This is from my seat in a 172. And essentially, we had to get a shot because they're, believe it or not, they've added another layer of highway. Now imagine driving in this, and you have this is nothing. This is early. Imagine driving in this. It's not. It seems confusing, and it looks confusing, and it is confusing because Orlando never really thought they'd get that big. So they added another layer, moving east to west and north to south. So they added another. What they needed is for me to position myself in the plane to get the exact shot of the city of Orlando with all the roads. And that was kind of a fun shot to do. And it was a lot of fun. This is a kitchen for Cornerstone Kitchens. And this is, I'm sorry, this is not a kitchen. This is the bathroom, duh. And this is your future bathroom. It's rather large, and can seat lots of people, I guess, and little accents. My wife was a hairdresser for 38 years. So oftentimes in interior stuff, she goes with me and she will put everything together because I'm a guy. Me, I just put a towel there. I mean, I do it more artistically, I guess, than that, but they're all folded nicely and things like that. And that's not my forte. And I'd rather have my wife come with me and she could do that stuff. And it's just, she's better at it. When you're better at it, you get the right person, and she's the right person. And that's lit with one strobe and something called it's a singular light, and it lights up the center of it, so it eliminates the shadows. It's called a ring flash, and you push it inside. I'll show you one later on. This is an interior. Now, this interior is equaling the amount of light inside with the amount of light outside. So it looks, let me adjust that screen, it looks too light. That's not sky replacement. That's actual exposure. And if you take your exposure, your shutter speed up to 250th of a second, so that the indoor light is equal to the outdoor light, and you're getting something that looks perfect to your eye, exactly what you see. That's achieved just by playing with the shutter speed a little bit, getting the beautiful reflections, getting those colors. Clients want me to make sure that this place becomes inviting. So everything has to be set, everything has to be perfectly lit. There's a lot of technique involved, and it just takes a little bit of time. Now, when you're in New York City, I'll show you a bunch of really abstract kinds of things, which is more what you're probably thinking. And I have a lot of that too. This is another photo shoot in Orlando. I spent a fair amount of time there, and it's a couple hours from St. Petersburg, where I live, where Kathy and I live. And this is just a perfect, beautiful blue sky day. And I had to have each chair is positioned. They all had to be set up and perfectly perpendicular, everything lined up. This one always bothered me. I always thought it looked like the back was broke. So this one, every time when I see this image, sometimes I don't like it because this is the one that's bent. So it's sometimes that happens. I can't control every aspect of every photo. None of us can. Perfect blue sky, sunny day, available light, easy stuff. This is a building off of Bayshore Boulevard in Tampa. The client, it's the weirdest thing. I got a call, and the man who, the architect who designed this building, had hired a photographer, and he said, "Geez, Art, is it possible to get the whole building in shot?" And I said, "Yeah. Why would you ask that?" And he said to me, and I can't make this kind of thing up. He said to me, the photographer that we hired said we couldn't get the whole building in, which makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever, because all you have to do is back up. I don't use a PC shift lens anymore. I don't need to, and I don't need to correct it in Photoshop. Um, all you do is back up a little. And if you have a good lens, 17-24, which is always a really good lens to use, or that focal length. There's a sign here. I think we took that out. This is from the street. I think there's another version. And then we got to play with it a little. So I got to go and twist and turn and contort myself into getting a shot like this, which I love. And you can get a ton of that kind of thing in New York. New York's a great city for that. This is an interior. This is in Orlando also. I like letting available light come in. The most important ally when it comes to interior photography is available light. When you're using flash, available light is your best ally. So you can let it bleed in. You can let a little bit of beautiful light come in. Nature's light is better than anything I could produce. And you shoot at f8, run f8, at least f8, maybe f11, and that way you get lots of detail in the interior. But it's clean and it's simple. Using strobes with mixed lighting situations can be tricky at first, but it really isn't tricky. You just have to practice and play with it so it looks what your eye sees. Because strobe when you're photographing architecture, sometimes it can be a little awkward, and I don't like strobes that are harsh, so I want to look as natural as it can. This is a kitchen I did for the same guy who did the bathroom. Phil Johnson. He's a great guy, and owns a place called Cornerstone Kitchens, and he does bathrooms and kitchens and whole homes, and amazing guy, and designs these beautiful interior spaces and gets the best product possible. And this is early in the morning, so early morning twilight. So that way I can add just a little bit of fill flash. I don't have to add a lot. And I was able to get some available light in there just by slowing the shutter speed down. Do you guys have any questions yet? Anybody? No? Can you hear me out there?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, just being sure. If there's questions, please let me know.
There's no questions in the chat either.
Okay, all right. This is a exterior of an edifice in downtown St. Petersburg. And this guy, this architect had designed this building, had this big chunk of red and a beautiful shadow. I went there on a different day when I wasn't getting this kind of shadow, and I left this shadow in for the palm tree here and this little piece. And at first he thought, that almost looks artificial. Well, it's not. I don't do a ton of retouch. I do retouch when I need to, and I make adjustments as I need to in Photoshop. I'm a Photoshop guy. I like Lightroom, but not for certain things, but I use Photoshop. It's what I learned on. And to get that kind of chunk or that kind of shadow is what I prefer to do. You're going to be able to, when you go to New York City, I don't know where you're going, but there's lots of great, if you guys go to the Cloisters, or there's a zillion places to go in New York that are unbelievable architecturally. It's one of the most beautiful cities in the world, in my opinion. This is, again, in Orlando. The only thing we changed is this is the original. And so these highlights were long exposure, early in the morning, available light. I took these out later in the one we turned into the client. So we being my wife and I. So when I took these out, because I don't like those harsh little shadows right there, or those hard light, because that's from getting a long exposure. The frost is actually not frost. It was so cold in the inside, so hot outside, it caused condensation. So it almost looks like frost in the wintertime, something I grew up with. So the only thing I'm not good at is doing the chop on the pillows. Kathy's better at that. This is at the Henry Plant Museum in Tampa. That's in downtown Tampa. It's a beautiful location. This image gets cut off the way I have it, this set up today. So I do have the full circle. I would never show it this way, or normally I wouldn't show it this way. This is available light. I saw this location. I took a photography student of mine who lives in Clearwater, and we went over there. And I noticed this dome on the inside, and it was really quite beautiful. It was giving me a little tiny bit of light, but not like this. So I went back a second time on my own, and I did not get the light. I could envision, or seeing in my mind's eye, I could envision that light coming through. So I went back a third time, and third time's a charm. So I lay down on the floor with a it was an Olympus lens, Olympus wide, and that is available light, completely available light. It would have been cool to have the light coming through, but you can't have everything in any shot. I have a little bit of it here and a little bit of it here, and just a little bit of traces. Long exposures will do that. This is in Orlando. Um, the sky was pretty amazing. The only trouble I had getting this shot was the guy from FedEx wanted to pull his truck up here. And I said, well, how many packages do you have? He goes, I got 3. And I said, well, are they heavy? Can you wait? Because the light was just great. And he said, well, how long is this stupid photo going to take? I said, well, give me 10 minutes. And so, because the light's right, and I'm going to get this done. So sky was great. Everything was working. He parked someplace back here. And then he walked up after I made the photographs. He goes, well, let me see how good this photo really is. And he goes, and I said, just look, and just hit the screen. And he went, whoa, that's all available light, folks. That's getting everything, all the other cars removed by the people who live here. And of course, the FedEx idiot. And everything is just set up exactly right. They brought in the crew to adjust the landscape. And that doesn't always happen in every photo shoot. It does when the client wants what they want and they have the budget for it. This is downtown Tampa. The best view of downtown Tampa, if you're ever here, please contact me, and we can go photograph together. This is downtown Tampa. This is from the roof of Tampa General Hospital. It's the best on the 8th. There's 7th floor, and then up, and then you're on, and that's the best view of the city of Tampa. I was working on a project for them, and this is early morning light. I think I don't remember the location. I'll have to get back to you on it. There's a location from the Jersey side looking across to New York City. I don't know. I'll have to get that location. And it's a beautiful location seeing the city of New York. It's an amazing view. Somebody else, a photographer friend of mine, told me about it. It's a great place to photograph, and it's a little less expensive than Manhattan to stay there. But this is early morning light, just after sunrise, just a little bit of light coming in, just letting it bleed in. I have darker ones and lighter ones, but I prefer this one. And it's just a really cool, and the Henry Plant Museum, which I showed a minute ago, is over here, right around the block here. This is Kennedy Boulevard. This is Kennedy Boulevard. So this is in South Florida. This would be maybe just right around Miami. And this is a apartment complex. Now, see the star? That's done. You guys know this rule. It's called the Sunny 16 rule. The Sunny 16 rules from the days of film. I was a film photographer, obviously, before I started, before digital came around. And what you do is you put your f-stop at f16. If you don't know this, and maybe all of you know this, you put your f-stop at f16, and then it creates a perfect starburst. And you can get it here and a little bit here. Now we have 2 versions of the shot. The first version is this one, which I prefer. It had rained. So I let this wet. I liked it. Now we did another one where we attempted to brush this off, but there was way too much retouch to do in this. So I prefer this version. The client ended up liking this version as well. Now this is painting with light as well. So I was on a tripod down here, steady, everything was fine. long exposures, and letting the available light just bleed in. Love a good sky. This is Saks Fifth Avenue, which is a store, and this is a Saks. You're familiar with that, and that's in New York. Is that right? Is that still in New York? Saks still there?
Yes, it is.
Okay, Saks. This is Saks Fifth Avenue. This is at a place called Galleria in Fort Lauderdale. And I was asked to photograph the building, and one of the things I did is I had to photograph that building. And the architect said, "Where is that?" Now, the guy who designed it, where is that? And I showed it. So he showed up and he goes, "I never saw it that way." And he said, "I think it'd be intriguing for you if I hired you to photograph different cities where Saks is, and you just do architectural details. That's a dream job. You fly into a city, fly into 6 cities, and you photograph Saks in whatever way that you choose." This is the kind of photograph that you're looking for. Photographs that are unique. Find an angle that's interesting, whether it's one of my favorite buildings in the world, the Flatiron Building, or any other building that's wherever you're going in New York. They're everywhere, and you can't miss them. And find what's unique. You all have skills photographically. Use those skills, use your sense of wonder, and take the opportunity to make photographs that are different and or unique. Don't do the safe thing. Get outside your wheelhouse. Try something different. The thing that's going to make you a better photographer, especially architecturally, is to photograph something that's different. We can all do the same stuff. The key is be different. If you're different, you're gonna be your entry in your clubs. I heard you have some competitions coming up, all kinds of things going on. Take that opportunity and make photographs that are different. Don't take that safe approach. That's what's going to make your work stand out. This is the Regency in Gulf Shores on the coast between Florida and Alabama, what they call the Red Deck Riviera. This is an aerial photograph. My pilot Corey, this is a one-time shot. I wanted to get the obelisk exactly perpendicular in the frame, no questions asked. You're in a 172, you're at 2,500 feet in the air, and I have pilot Corey goes, you made the first pass. Art, you get it? No. Go around. Art, I said, I need you to get a little tighter. We can't get too much tighter. And so shoot with it. I know when I shoot with a different lens, I wanted exactly what I wanted when I wanted it. I don't want to crop a hell of a lot. I can, and we all can. I wanted the shot that I wanted. So he did second pass. You get it? No. Art, you better get the shot. So Corey does the third pass and nailed it. And him and I are looking at it. And it kind of worked. Regency loves it. And that's just a real clean shot. Using depth of field a little bit, obviously, and getting the Regency just perfect. And that's the thing. I shot a bunch more different angles and things like that, certainly. But this is the one I like the most, and as well as they do. This is in Orlando. Now, normally you wouldn't see this much sidewalk. So this is the original. So I cropped this for the client. I do have the edges on the another one where the edges go out. So you'd crop up here. This is again painting with light. This is beautiful sky. Nature's the best. Painting with light, long exposure, getting exactly what you see. When you're shooting, this is a Nikon D800, D850. That's right, D850. That's available light and using painting with light. Twilight again, Orlando. I prefer early morning twilights as opposed to evening ones. Evening ones, when you're in Florida in the summertime, every mosquito on the planet has relatives who lives in Florida. Trust me. Every mosquito is everywhere and it's hot. So I prefer early morning twilights. It's not quite as hot. And so when you're shooting like that, you get a perfect sky. You can adjust the color temperature, of the sky. You can play all kinds of little things. And again, painting with light in a very simple way, getting that perfect reflection, getting everything, and it feels inviting. It makes you want to go and be there. That's the gig. This is during the day. This is in it's in Tampa. It's called, the community's called Waterset. I was just there last week. And getting the shot. Now everything's lit. I'm using a ring flash here. There's a strobe inside here that's firing independently of my strobe, so that I'm getting exactly what I see. I have a twilight shot of this as well. I don't think I have it in this presentation, but you can kind of see, get everything exactly correct. Get the light right, get the angles right, and this is very specific kind of architecture. This is more what you're going to see, and you're going to laugh. You're going to enjoy this. The guy who owns this building wanted me to figure out a way to dwarf this building. They had this competition, whose building's bigger, whose building's this. And so he wanted me to make the building look like it kind of was eating the other building. And he joked with like the transformer thing. So I came up with this angle that I found when I was out photographing. That's in downtown Tampa, in the heart of downtown. And all it was is just angling myself and getting exactly what I thought. I had a bunch of versions, but this is the one that dwarfs this building, which is not the client. It's the client's. It's not really a competition, but I suppose in some ways it is. This is the city of Chicago. One of the things that you get hired to do sometimes is you get to photograph something that's really different. And when they asked me, I said, well, you have tens of thousands of really great architecture. You have architectural city is beautiful there. Chicago's a great city. And I said, why me? And he said, well, somebody said that you're easy to get along with. You don't have an ego about what you do. He said, why would I? I could take photographs for a living. Give me a break. So he said, why is it going to take 3 days to do a simple shot of the city of Chicago? I said, well, let me just ask you a question. Do you really think that it's called the Windy City is that you think that they made that up? When you're in a little plane in a 172 Cessna, right there, you're flying. Now, if you've ever been in a rowboat in the ocean, you understand the concept. It's tough. You're in a little tiny plane, which is 4 seats. It actually fits 2 people. And you get Tom or Corey, depending on the pilot I use, and it's getting exactly the city of Chicago the way you want it to be. City of Chicago is a beautiful city, but they needed it. It was windy, very. And I said to the plane, you want to come on? No, I don't want to be in a little plane. I don't like them. Okay, so little planes are fun. You just have to pay attention. And it's a lot of fun. The window's open. It stays open. It sounds odd, but because it's not pressurized. So if you have any questions about that, please let me know. This is in Merida, Mexico. I was in Merida doing an essay story for a magazine. The magazine was not about architecture at all, but I would go out in the mornings. I was there for a week, a little over a week, and I'd get up in the morning, and there was edifices like this all over Merida. These people were poor. They're of Mayan descent. They were wonderful, very giving and very caring, but it was a great little city to photograph in. And they have all these buildings, just this great architecture. Coming back to the States after I was there, I realized how homogenized we've become in communities, and they're all the same color. And I'm not sure I want to live in a house that's this yellow with the red wall, but maybe more colorful. And a lot of times we don't see that very often. So I thought it was an interesting concept. I did a book called El Corso and Color, which is called The Heart of Color. And it's a really cool little book about the architecture in Merida. This is a building in Orlando. And yes, that's not bent. That's not Photoshop. That's not AI. None of the things you've seen tonight are AI, not that I object to some of it. You can kind of see the feeling that you're getting from it, and you can kind of get a feel for and I had to get this straight so that you can get exactly these lines. The whole key was to get that reflection of this orange in the windows. I talked for a bit of a lengthy amount of time with the architect. I would have liked it had continued to the top here, but I wasn't able to get that. So, but I still like the shot. This is in Paso Grill. It's a little kind of division. You go over the bridge from St. Petersburg over to Paso Grill onto the Gulf, and it's unbelievably beautiful little building. It's called the Hurricane. It's a bar, really cool little bar. And I did a whole series of images for the guy. And I really like this, getting it straight and getting everything exactly architectural design. And you can do that if you line yourself up the right way and get all your lines perpendicular. This is the Art Museum in downtown St. Petersburg. It's a beautiful little museum with this great old columns, early morning light, just available light. And they needed something to create this feeling, or they're going to use it in various brochures and things like that. I like those projects because you just essentially get to play. This is a Olympus mirrorless N1X, I think. Now this is imagine this. This is a dorm in Gainesville. Now, while I was there, this young lady asked me, she said, well, do you work with maintenance? I said, no, I'm a photographer. And she said, well, can you talk to maintenance and see, they have a lazy river in their pool, in their dorm. My dorm that I went to looks like an abandoned crack house now, but it wasn't that nice when I was there. They have a lazy river in their dorm. And I mean, we don't have those things. I certainly didn't go to, I went to art school, but still, it doesn't matter. And all the umbrellas are up. Everything was set up. Kathy and I put up all the umbrellas. And we got everything set, chairs set, everything. We thought about putting an inner tube in here, and I have one with it out, and I tried some ideas with it, but kind of worked that well. This is a building across it's right across the street from Niagara Falls. I was in Niagara Falls a few years back teaching a 3-day workshop, photography workshop, did one on architecture. I flew into a Buffalo, and I was picked up at Buffalo Airport. I noticed this building with its great structures, and I thought, man, that's going to make a great photo if the light's right. And so all the other instructors went out, and they all went to dinner. I didn't go to dinner. I showed up late. Dinner was over. They said, what are you photographing? And I made this photo of these really great little shadows across. That play of light and shadow is something I really enjoy. And if you look at my website, you'll see a lot of it. It's something I really like photographically. And so when I made the photo in the morning, I put it in my presentation. And a guy named Tony Sweet, who's a great speaker and a really great photographer friend of mine, and he said, well, so let me see the shot that you didn't go to dinner for. And they all joked at me that, and I said, no, no, no. Tony looked at the phone and goes, it was worth it. Sometimes you got to trust your gut. This is an interior that would be in Orlando, maybe. Might be just outside of Orlando. And a Celebration, which is a little kind of city enclave. And this is I think this is a Taylor Morrison home. Taylor Morrison's one of the largest builders in the United States of large communities. And so they build these communities all over. And there's some up there too in Jersey. Not a ton, but some. And so this is strobes and getting that blue sky. Exactly right. All done in camera. No Photoshop. Didn't need to. This is the city of Orlando. This is that building from earlier, from the front side. And they wanted to see the city of Orlando right here. And they wanted this little piece. So everything was done. I was on the ledge, which I liked that shot. I would have liked all the windows lit. It would have been kind of fun, but that's never going to happen. So anytime anything's lit, and this is all done available light. I tried painting with light a little bit here, but I just didn't, it wasn't, this was too far from where I was. So it wasn't, so it's all done at twilight. Twilight, key to twilight. Get there early, be prepared, and make your photographs. Use your exposure and bracket the hell out of it if you need to, but get your shots. This is a building, it's off of I-4 between here in Lakeland, Florida. I think it's closer to Auburndale, which is right off I-4. It's a beautiful little building. It's a great place to photograph. Again, if you get here, I'll give you all the coordinates. It's a great place to photograph. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. It's the most amazing. It was designed by this very well-known architect, and they never pronounce his name correctly, so I'm not even going to try. But I had seen this building being built. I saw it in a television commercial for Ford trucks, and had these really odd structures, and I'd never seen it. And so when I moved here to St. Pete about a little over 10 years ago, I saw the building, and I thought, I'm going to get to it. Well, it took me about a year to get over there and to photograph it. I was on my way to Orlando, came early, and got these beautiful shadows. It's a great place to photograph. Check out that building. This design was $22 million. This design, this piece here, it ships according to the light and according to the weather, and allows this beautiful light, perfect reflection. It's just one of those mornings when you're there, it's all working. Now, I have them in color, obviously, but I like them in black and white better, and they like them better too. Another part of the building. It's great space. This is one day before a hurricane hit. I was over there. This is in Bradenton. I went across the bridge, the Skyway Bridge between St. Petersburg and Bradenton on the way to Sarasota. And I got there. She said, Art, I'll do what I can, but I'm going to be gone. You're on your own. So she gave me the key and the alarm code. I was able to get in, turn on all the lights, and get that available light. This is, again, the weather was perfect that night before the hurricane. The hurricane hit. I think this, yeah, the left side facing this building, part of this was ripped out. Hurricanes if you haven't been in one, don't. It's not fun. I did take the garbage cans out for the client, but I left them in for the shot. I thought it just made more sense. This is the bridge going over from St. Petersburg to Paso Grill. A photographer friend of mine told me about this location. That's underneath the bridge. And that's a long exposure, perfectly still, quiet. I'm alone there under that bridge. You're shooting. It almost looks cathedral looking, or it almost looks like a scene from The Wizard of Oz a little bit. And somebody told me that. And I let that bleed in and get that perfect crisp black and white. Black and white to me has to have a black, and white. This is the Dali Museum. The Dali Museum is in downtown St. Petersburg. It's early morning, and I couldn't figure out for the better part of that I've lived here, I couldn't figure out what to do with the building. And finally, one morning, I was sitting in between the Mahaffey Theater and the Dali. I was sitting on like a little partition thing. And I looked, and finally, I thought, oh my God, I get it. Dali was a surrealist. So why not go into Photoshop and make some twists and turns? And so this twist and turn is done after. But most of the photos that I did, consequently, I have a whole series, a little triptych and things like that of it. And it's a lot of fun to do. This is downtown St. Pete, and this is the pier, the St. Pete Pier. St. Pete Pier at twilight, a Hunter Booth, a guy from a friend of mine from PA's nephew, I think, or cousin, I think. And this is early morning light, early morning twilight. There was one guy right here, which it kind of adds scale to it. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I think it's okay. I like a shot like this because nature's light is the best. I can't even achieve that in my head. So what nature's light does for us as photographers is amazing. So I use it whenever I can. This is in Orlando. This is the outside of the one where I had the look at the frost on the windows. That's that same interior shooting back. Now these are lean-tos. This is a newer building. So these palm trees had just been put in. They wanted it photographed before it got screwed up, is what they said. So in the final, we took these out in Photoshop. And that's to hold up the tree if it wasn't going to stand on its own. So that's to hold up the tree until it grows some roots. And so that took a couple of months, and they needed shot before that. You can see I'm using the angles. I'm using the angles in early morning twilight, all painted with light. This is in downtown Philadelphia. I was there on my way back to Florida and stopped to see a friend and started making some photographs. These two buildings are together and laid down on the sidewalk. Philly's I like parts of Philly. It's kind of cool, but it's a little dirty. And so where I was, and so getting this kind of shot is paramount to. And I did tweak it a little. I added a little bit more saturation, and you can see that most of the stuff is generally available light, and I'm using the sky. I don't do that a ton of stuff sometimes, but pretty rare. This is on Davis Island. This is a couple of doors down from where Tom Brady lived in Davis Island. Davis Island is a very, very exclusive area. There were strobes throughout. So strobes are strategically placed in different areas of this home. And each little piece, now that's a little blown out here, so that was probably retouched back down. So there was all kinds of light to light this up, but it didn't work well. Turn those off and let the available light bleed in. Sunny 16 rule all the way. Beautiful little home. Not little, but you get my drift. This is when in talking with the client, one of the things we talked about is they wanted to show the shadows of the palm tree. And I'm not exactly precisely sure why, but they did. And so they thought that that was a feature. There was a person over here and they were retouched out. They didn't want to move. Maintenance came in and somebody from management, and the guy goes, look, I paid a lot of money for my house. I'm going to sit here at the pool. I'm not moving. So we end up retouching somebody out of here. There was a person there.
Can I
But
interrupt you for a second?
go for it.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What do you mean when you say all painted with light?
Okay. Painting with light is that technique I mentioned earlier. That means that I'm going to take a camera, put it on a tripod, and then I'm going to take a singular light. And that singular light, I'm going to have a long exposure. And then I'm going to take this light, which is kind of like a spotting light for deer, and you take it and you paint during exposure. So you're not touching anything. The exposure, you click the shutter's open for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 8 seconds, 15 seconds, or 30 seconds, doesn't matter. Then you take that light and you add light where there isn't. Does that answer your question?
James, did that answer your question?
Yes.
James? Okay. James, if you want to, you can call me or you can email me or you can call me and I can explain it to you further so you understand it. I can walk you through the process. It's really easy and it's a lot of fun. Again, this is available light and painting with light. You don't get skies like this all the time. None of us do. Half the battle is showing up. Half the battle is being there and the sky just turns that way. Because I was there 2 nights before, and the weather was terrible, and we got rained out and had to leave. So the client wants this kind. If you're just fortunate enough, you got to go back sometimes. That's the advantage of architecture is you're not dealing with models, you're not dealing with people, you're not dealing with all those things. You're dealing with the elements. The elements are get there early, stay late. Twilight is a great time to photograph. Magic hour, morning or night, depending on your how you work. Now we did a little bit of retouch, not much in here. I just kind of left it go. Again, this is the original. This is an angle. This is it's called UPMC Hammett. UPMC is a hospital conglomerate out of Pittsburgh, and I've done a lot of work for them over the years. And this is Hammett Medical Center, was Hammett Medical Center when I grew up. That's where I was born, actually. Obviously, not the same structure, but they built this really cool building. A friend of mine named Ross Ruckton was the architect and did a lot of work for them, him and good friends. And I could twist the building, contort the building, anything, any way that he didn't care. Now, when I first started doing architectural photography, I would photograph these really, really, really crazy, nutsy angles. And the majority of it was like that. And there was a few shots that were the whole building. And Ross and, of course, the guy named Herm Weber, Murphy Fox, and other architects I worked for the years ago, Art, we love these shots, but the client wants to see their whole building. Can you photograph the whole building and show the ground and stuff? So over the years, I was able to figure that out that I had to do that. And of course, I do these shots all the time anyways. And so I like these kind of shots. They're more fun for me. I certainly do the whole building and little abstract parts of it, but that's probably for my own enjoyment. This is the Benderson Center, which is in Sarasota. Benderson Center is where our Olympic rowers train. There's a lake, which is next to over here. You can kind of see it. And what they wanted to show is the architectural structure of the Benderson Center. And it had great lines and great feel and great kind of nice blacks and nice whites. And they wanted it in black and white. And they hired me to do that. There were these women training, and they were running up and down the stairs. And so they were concerned that I was going to be there when they were training. And so I said, well, look, how about if I just talk with them? They would train. I would do a few shots. They'd run up and down the stairs. And I say, all right. And they go, Art. And I say, okay, let's go. And they run up and down the stairs, and they run back down the stairs, and I wait and get my shots. I said, hold on. Got some shadows here. We got this. So they would wait, and then they run back. And it was quite hysterical. They were amazing. They had to do it 25 times, up and down, all the way. It was crazy. It's pretty interesting. This is when I was in Rome. I did an essay story in Rome. I was there for a week, a little over a week, and it was the most amazing thing, and one of a trip of a lifetime, as they say. I do have photographs with rowers in this. This is the Tiber River, and this is St. Peter's Basilica, and this is at twilight from the bridge on the Tiber River. And a lot of people photographed this same scene. I did some retouch out. As weird as this is, and as beautiful and ancient the city is, there was somebody in the Vatican, they had an antenna, a television antenna, which I thought was hysterical. So this is at twilight in Rome. Great assignment. This is St. Peter's Basilica inside. This is the Bernini columns. This is a rare shot, not that a zillion people have been photographed, including some of you maybe. However, yours has people in it. I had a special pass, fortunately, and I was able to get this whole area cleared out with no people on a regular day. And they noticed my pass, and several security people cleared the entire area for me. And there was some guy behind me, and he goes, "Who the hell are you?" And I said, "It's really not important." And it was just a weird little dynamic of the conversation. And I was able to get the Bernini calls out of people in them. It was pretty cool. And as soon as they cleared it, I shot my shots. And then all of a sudden he let it go and it was like, shh, there's people everywhere. So sometimes get good advantages. This is the basilica. This is that, the top of this part. I returned to this space 3 times to get the sky. It had rained a bit and there was some rain. It was in December. And so it rains a bit in December. It's not cold, but it rained a bit. Early morning light and just beautiful little light. And I tried this really crazy angle with a wide angle and didn't want to correct the distortion, just let it fly. And they have a really large version of this picture in the lobby of the company, the diocese that I lived in, and lived near and worked with for for a long time. This is an interior. See the dynamics of architecture and how dramatically different. I mean, if you look at this is kind of a letdown a little bit. I mean, it's not a letdown for a house, but you get my drift. This property now has houses everywhere, and this is shot with available light. I started this habit of turning the chair in to invite you into the shot, and got into a disagreement with somebody that I was working with. It said, I want this, shoot it your way and shoot it their way. And so I always like this little angle. And I think I did it more to tick that person off than I did for any other reason. This is one of my favorite interior. This is one of my favorite places in the world to photograph. It's the Warner Theater, built 1931 in my hometown. It's original Warner Theater. They haven't torn it down. It's unbelievable. They spent $11 million the first time. It's some ungodly figure the second time. This is not HDR. This is shot with available light. And I think f/16 maybe. So I get that beautiful little, and this is to invite you into the book. I did a book on the Warner, and I basically was given the alarm code and the key, and I would go in twice a week and photograph everything and anything I wanted to. That was my job. And this is to invite you into the space in the book. This is to invite you into that. This space is that beautiful, and the acoustics are phenomenal. I grew up going to theater there. I saw the concerts and crazy movies and The Godfather and Exorcist and everything and anything, and you name it. And it's just an amazing place. And this is to invite you into the space. This is Frank Lloyd Wright building in Lakeland, as I talked about earlier. Frank Lloyd Wright was shorter than I am. I'm not very tall. He was, I think, 5. He's a little bit shorter than I am. And so I could actually touch the ceiling. If I can touch the ceiling, it's low. And this is his architecture, was called organic architecture, if you've studied him at all or know about him. And it's a great place to visit in Lakeland. It's a great campus. The architecture phenomenally. It's just a great place. And it's very, very, very different. He was very different. This is Ann Pfeiffer, um, uh, 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 Ann Pfeiffer Chapel, another Frank Lloyd Wright. This is in Tampa. Early morning angle, late afternoon twilight. Getting that really steep angle, not distorting it, but getting that perfect angle, getting the reflection, and painting, turning all the lights on in here, all the lights on in here, every light had to be turned on. And I take that light and add light, little touches of light where there isn't. This is in downtown St. Petersburg. It's a building that the general wanted you to be invited. Now, every time I show the shot, this door should have been moved just a little bit more. I always think it's off center. I don't know if it is. I've never measured it. He wanted to invite you into the space. And that was the key for a piece he was working on. Again, this is a real flame. Lit it, had it lit. This would not burn like this normally. This is a long exposure. You can see it here. Again, this painting with light. Letting everything kind of bleed in. Beautiful sky. Weather, everything's weather dependent. Can't shoot architecture like this for clients like this if you don't have good weather. Doesn't work. This is the Stern building. Earlier, I talked to the Becker building, a portion of the Becker building. They added little spaces to it. And what they wanted me to do is essentially walk around and play with shadows and light, essentially is what I was asked to do. This is on the campus at Florida Southern. This is an interior in Orlando. And this is lit in the piece here, and this is all lit. There was an extra strobe inside here. So this is one light here, another light here, all married together to work. This is a little snippet of a building at Florida Southern College. That's wasn't designed with Frank Lloyd Wright in mind, but I really like this shot a lot. Like that perpendicular kind of lining everything up exactly correct. I probably shot 4 or 5 or 6 shots until I got it lined up properly. I mean, some of them were close, some of them were a little off, but good sky, good day. Another one, interior like this, getting it perfectly lit to invite you to the space because it's comfortable. It makes you want to go there, makes you want to see it, makes you want to feel it. This is in Florida. Every afternoon it just gets unbearably hot in the summertime, and if you've lived here at all, and getting this kind of almost mirror-like reflection is you have a hose, a little hose that they show on TV that kind of condenses down to a small thing. It's in my studio, and I carry it with me when I go out and photograph architecture like this. And this is a building which is in Tampa, not too far from the downtown area. And this was an apartment complex. So I wet down the pavement. Now I took squeegee and pushed the water around till it was perfect. And then it would dry. And then I had to, it was crazy. It took a lot longer than you think just to get it right and getting it that I wanted that reflection. So it's not done Photoshop. It's all done in camera. That it? I think that's it. Okay, so is that it? Okay. All right. Now I'm going to stop sharing. Okay, any questions at all? Hello?
Does anybody have any questions?
Do you all know all this stuff?
We have within the club a wide range of photographers from beginners to quite experienced members.
Okay. Okay.
What lenses are you using?
Okay. I use a 17-24 and I use a medium-sized telephoto, which is usually a 50 to a 200. Everything is f2. All lenses are f2. It's a hell of a lot more pricey, but I can. No, it is. We all know. We all know what we know about that. So I buy the best glass I can buy, be it Nikon or Olympus. Now I switched to a Nikon, and I'll tell you a quick story. After 33 years of endorsement work and free gear, I got on the phone and called John and said, John, Olympus isn't keeping up with the DSLRs. I need you guys to step up your game. I need it to be better. And he says, Art, we're not going to really change much. And I said, okay, fine. And he goes, what are you telling me? And I said, he said, I'm leaving. I'm going to start shooting. He goes, Nikon or Canon? And I said, and Sony was okay then. Sony's great too. And other cameras are as well. But I said, I'm switching to Nikon. He says, so you're going over to the dark side. That's what he referred to me when I switched. And then I laughed. And so I switched over and he said, all right, that's fine. We're going to miss you. And they gave me free gear for over 30 years. Free gear. Anytime they made something, I got it. It didn't matter what it was. It was great. And when I switched over, it was about 3 years or so, maybe four. I do I work in I work with FC3, which is about 10 or 12 different or 13 or 14 different clubs in South Florida, further down in Sarasota and Orlando and Naples and all over. And I think I've done it 4 years in a row. And one of the years I went, John saw my name in the roster of teachers. And John said, I walked up and I was walking around inside and I saw the Olympus rep and I was kind of playing with some things. And he goes, "Your Art?" And I said, "Yeah." You had a lantern with your silly name on it. I said, "Yeah, it's me." And he said, "John Canar said hello." And I said, "He knew I was here?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Let him know I'm doing well and whatever." And he goes, "Well, here's the thing. He wants you to take anything you want off this table right now." I said, "Excuse me?" "You could take anything you want, take it home. Just take it home." So I took an M1.6. I took a new wide angle lens I made. I said, John said they're yours. Just take them with you. They're yours. Just use them. Take them. Keep them. I said, okay. So I used them for about a week, or I used them, and John texted me while I was in class. He said, "So you're coming back to the force, are you?" And so it's a constant. John's retired now, but he was hysterically funny. I know they have the Olympus ambassadors. They don't get free gear. Hell, they barely get a price break, which makes no sense to me. My thing was, you can use my pictures, I get your gear. I'm not getting. It's got to get a give, and it was good then. Nikon did it too, but now they have ambassadors. There's a handful. There's a couple still left, but generally they don't give you free gear anymore. I don't know if they got more thrifty or cheaper or whatever. I can't say, but I just know it changed. But I like both gear. I really do. And will I switch to mirrorless Nikon? Maybe. I shot with an A7 and A9 Sony. Great gear. I didn't like the menu. I thought the menu was horrible, but they're sharp as hell. So it's not the camera. We all know the same stuff. It's not the camera, it's the photographer. That's my personal belief. So, any other questions?
John,
What do
I
you
got
think?
one.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think of reflections in glass buildings? Are they overdone? Are they of value?
I think they are value to me, but that's the artistic part of me. As a architectural photographer working for major architects or major builders, some of them don't like available light. Some of them want everything lit. Some of them don't like reflections. Like if you go to Bergdorf's and you see those amazing windows, and one of my friends does a lot of work for them, or photographs their windows. I think the reflections are cool, but that's a visual thing for all of us. For me, I like it. I don't use a polarizer. I haven't, God knows how long. You don't need to any longer. I mean, and it made it look too saturated. It looked artificial. I tried to keep everything because I came from the film days. I suppose it has a little to do with the way I came up through the business. Is that you didn't use those things? They didn't exist. So and once they did, it's like Photoshop. Would Ansel Adams have used Photoshop? Hell yeah. I think but I like reflections. What do you think? What's your take? Do you like them?
In some cases, they're terrific, actually.
I think so too. I think they're great.
I mean, you have to be like in most things, very particular in terms of the shot you're taking. It can't be overdone.
Oh yeah. Sometimes.
There are some buildings I've seen, like in Pittsburgh, PPG. I don't know
Oh
if you ever
yeah. Oh sure.
that is highly
office.
mirrorized.
Oh, it's terrible, and you can't get rid of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what that is. Okay, sure. I'm from right near there. I grew up
Oh,
I'm from Erie, so that's where it's Pittsburgh's got better weather, if that's such a thing. So anyways, any other questions?
Yeah, I was just wondering on your, especially your outdoor shots, your editing. You said you usually use Photoshop?
Yeah, I started with Photoshop. And then once Lightroom came into play, everybody was Lightroom. Oh my God, it's a second coming. Give me a break, okay? Look, I just got used to using Photoshop, and I still like it. I don't. I crop. I do a little dodging here and there, but you can see the majority of the stuff is I underexpose about a third to a full half stop to get that kind of saturated color, and everything's done in camera because again, that stuff didn't exist. So that's how I learned, and that's how I see it. So I do like the certain things about Lightroom, but it's okay. I just don't shoot that way. It's not how I see things. So
Right. Thank you.
did you ever use a nurture density filter? Yes, I did. I used it when Rosemary's asked me that question. I do, but I don't do like waterfalls or things. Although I like those images, it's just not my thing. But I use it occasionally to add a little bit of feel to the shot. So sometimes I will use those. But the majority of stuff I do post. So,
Art,
yeah,
your
yes, sir.
framing is impeccable. I'm curious if it's just what your eye sees, or is it more technical for you?
No, it's what my eye sees, Bill. It's exactly how I see it. It's exactly what I see. It's every one of us, everybody here, all 14 of us tonight, we all have eyes. We see the world. You can say whatever you want. We see the world differently. We do. And if you're fortunate enough to have a gift to see a certain way, it's the most amazing thing in the world to me. It's a gift that I was given, and it's I'm fortunate that I see that way. When I it's really weird when I could be driving down the street with my wife, and I could see something. All right, we're gonna go back there. I got to go photograph that place, and it's a constant thing. It doesn't go away. It's and and I guess I'm blessed to have that, and I realize how fortunate that we as photographers can see things that people don't see. What we do, all of us, is share that with everybody else. Now, I want to touch a little tiny bit. Does that answer your question? Okay, thank you. I want to touch social media. Social media is something I used a lot, and then I got hacked last January by a crypto salesperson. It got very complicated, and I got off Facebook, and I'm not on Facebook any longer. My wife is, and I do peek into my friends' work, but I'm not on it. I'm on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is better for me. It's a little more business oriented, and it suits what I do. I've organically grown a really nice little audience. I am on Instagram, but I post a little bit, not a ton of stuff, but I look in on my friends' work essentially, and I steal my wife's phone because I just don't get on. So, somebody said very informative. Thank you very much. Any other questions? And listen, if you need to learn how to paint with light, I can explain it to you. I'll do a Zoom with you. I don't just if you want me to help you to do that, it's a fun thing to do. In fact, that would be. I'm sorry, I don't want to. Elaine, I don't want to push you into an outing, but boy, if I could teach, it's a great outing to go do paint with light and make it. It's incredible. It's so much fun to me. It's pure joy to me. All right. Any other
A
questions?
number of times, and yes, it would make a good outing.
Well, we need to come up to New Jersey then, before the snow flies, which is going to happen. And I'm sorry, it's going to happen in my home. 2 weeks ago it was 43 degrees up there. 43. I'm sorry, it's the summertime. What's the matter with you people? So it's okay. It's all right. It's all good. So, anyways, All right, any other questions?
I've got just something that's a little different. I need your address.
You need my address.
Yeah.
Oh, oh, so you can send me money. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, okay. What, you don't use you don't use Zelle or any, you guys aren't
Um, I think some of us use it personally.
I
Uh,
understand. Most
We
clubs don't.
haven't used it from the club though.
Okay, that's fine. I will, what I'm gonna do is I will send that to you, not necessarily now, but because you're,
Okay.
you know, that's fine. But I will get it to you, and I'll send it to you. I don't want to, but I'll send it to you. It's no big deal.
Okay.
And thank you for the opportunity to speak to all of you. Again, I offer this to everybody I teach or anybody that I talk to about photography. If you have questions for me, you can email me. You can go to my website, it's artbeckerphoto.com, and you look at my site if you choose to. You can email me or you can call me. And because I love talking to other photographers. Because we all learn. And I think, Margot, when I asked if any questions, you made this face like, no, huh? Or do you know all this stuff? I joked with Elaine earlier that I wanted to see faces because I like to see people roll their eyes at something I'm saying or smile or not smile or go, really? So I like that reaction kind of thing. So no.
Just
Okay.
trying to learn.
Hey, we're all learners, okay? We're all learning. And you know what? I learned from you and you learned from me. How do you think we all get better as photographers? We share what we do. If we get to share what we do, it's the most amazing thing in the whole world to me. Anyways. So,
Yeah.
hey,
I think the presentation was great. I hope everybody got some inspiration for our competition and for when we go shooting in New York.
and if I can help in any way, and let me know how you guys. I want to see some different images. Mr. Schulman's got some echo. Okay,
Yeah.
there you go. It's gone.
And I'm a huge Frank Lloyd Wright fan.
Have you
and
been to Florida Southern?
what? No,
Have
I
you-
have not.
Okay, if you get here, you need to let me know. It's a beautiful campus. And again, if you get in my area, you're in Tampa, St. Pete, Orlando's a trek, but if you get in the area, you let me know. I'll give you a bunch of beautiful locations to photograph in.
My ex is in North Lauderdale, and I have
Okay.
a very close friend in Fort Myers.
Fort Myers is a great little city. It's got some great architecture there. I've done a bunch of teaching there. So thank you very much. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
more questions from anybody?
Any questions there, kids? Let's see what we got here.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
one final question.
Yes,
You
sir.
seem to shoot morning and evening.
Yes.
Is that, obviously, some of us can't be, shooting morning and evening. We go out, on a trip. We're there during the day. I mean, is it still worthwhile shooting architecture under, at high noon?
No.
No. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay. In a perfect world, we can go back 3 or 4 times, but we don't live in a perfect world. We all know that. Having said that, one of the things you want to do is it's better to get morning light unless you're not a morning person. Now, I'm a guy who gets up at 5. God only knows why. It has a lot to do with having sisters and never having a bathroom time, so I can only use the bathroom in the morning. So it has a lot to do with that silliness. But nevertheless, I'm a person, so I prefer morning light. But twilight is a great time to photograph. So if you're someplace, let's say you go to Denver, and you fly to Denver and you're going to go photograph landscapes, get there early or get there late. Then in the middle, goof around, have fun all day long. But either get there in the morning or get there in the evening. It's like going to the South Rim at the Grand Canyon. It's an amazing thing. But there's too many people. And so if there's a zillion people doing the same thing. So if you wait 15 minutes, they're mostly gone. They shoot 3 or 4 shots and they're gone because they want to go to breakfast. Me, I'll catch you later. I photograph all the time. So I take advantage of the morning light or the evening light, depending on the subject matter. So have some fun with it. Just have fun with it and enjoy your photography. Photography is not only a beautiful thing to do, but it's very therapeutic. I think.
Thank
anyway.
you.
You are welcome. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. I appreciate that. Have a wonderful
Okay.
evening, everyone. Enjoy yourself. And somebody, Elaine said it was hot there. Somebody said it's hot in Jersey. Is that right? Somebody, okay, all right. So are
Today
you
was hot.
okay? Well, okay. I hope you have a cooler weather coming up. And
It's
certainly-
coming.
Okay, yeah, I know. I remember. It doesn't go away. So we understand. So have some fun. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good night.
Good night.